Good afternoon. My name is Deputy Jessica Ramirez-Delgado with the Orange County Sheriff's Office. On behalf of the Orange County Sheriff's Office, thank you for joining us for this Facebook Live Q&A. I will be speaking about the open positions that we currently have for the Sheriff's Office. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the inbox at the bottom of the page. We'll be answering as many questions as we can. A little bit about myself. I've been with the agency for 4.5 years. Did 2 years on patrol on our East Side Sector 2 unit. Transitioned over as a detective in our domestic crimes unit. Did that for a little over a year. Then transitioned into becoming a field recruiter with the Orange County Sheriff's Office. My role as a field recruiter is to provide you with information to better guide you into a career with our agency. Our agency is one of the largest agencies within the state of Florida. We do not run our jail. The jail is a completely separate entity. We have, last time we checked, 1,660 sworn personnel. We have an additional 1,000 civilian personnel. So we are always looking for both sworn and civilian. Due to the fact that we are such a large agency, there is room for growth. We have over 40 specialty units for sworn, so there's definitely a place for everyone. We sponsor a significant amount of people through the academy per year. Based off of the minimum requirements, you can become a law enforcement officer, and we will sponsor you through the academy. We'll pay for the tuition, we pay for the books, we pay for the uniforms, the equipment, everything is provided for you. On top of that, we provide you with full health and benefits on the first day of the academy. Some of the minimum requirements for our sworn, especially our academy, is you have to be able to do a physical abilities test and pass that test. With that physical abilities test, you have to be able to complete a 1.5 miles within 15 minutes or less. You have to be able to do 20 or more push-ups within a minute and 30 or more sit-ups within a minute. We will then put you through what we call a functional fitness test. It is a workout that resembles a workout that you would do in the academy. So that way you get a better feel into what's going to happen when you're in the academy. Have to be at least 21 years old. A lot of people ask, how old can I be when it comes to being a certified law enforcement officer with the Orange County Sheriff's Office? We do not have a maximum age limit. So as long as you are able to physically meet the demands of the job, it does not matter how old you are. One of the biggest things that we see is work history. Work history is something that we take into consideration very highly. So things like terminations, reasons for terminations, how long ago disciplinary problems happened, all of that will be taken into consideration. If you have any questions, just contact me at my email address or my telephone number. We will provide that information at the bottom as well. Contact me if you have any questions specific to anything that has happened in your career, and I'll be glad to answer that at the best of my ability. An additional thing is a good driving history. We do look that you have a valid driver's license for the last year. No DUI convictions within the last 5 years, and nothing reduced from a DUI. So let's say a reckless driving that was reduced from a DUI, things like that. No felony convictions, no misdemeanor convictions when it comes to integrity. So crimes such as false statements, domestic violence, all of those things we take into consideration. If you were in the military, we also take a look into if you were dishonorably discharged. Can't have a dishonorable discharge. Tattoos are a big thing that we get asked a lot. As long as you don't have them on your face, neck, or hands, that is okay, and it has to be something that is not offensive. I use myself as an example. I have a full sleeve. Your supervisors just make sure that you don't have anything offensive. Per our policy, it still states that you have to be able to cover your tattoos with a compression sleeve or a long sleeve uniform like the one I'm currently wearing. About 2 years ago, the Sheriff John Mina wrote a memo in which he allows us to show our tattoos that are below our elbows and below our knees as long as they are not deemed offensive. So you just have to go up to your chain of command. They have to ensure that they are not offensive and you can show your tattoos. But again, no face, neck, or hands. So those are the minimum requirements for our sworn positions. Most of our civilian positions have similar requirements when it comes to criminal history, driving history, things of that nature. The only big difference is that, one, they don't have to do the physical abilities test for the civilian positions, and two, they can be 18 years old. While sworn is 21, civilian positions are 18. So that is a very, very big difference. We're looking for 911 emergency communication specialists, so what most people call 911 operators. 18 years old, we're doing a $2,000 signing bonus right now. You have to do what we call a critical test. It is the test that tests how fast you can type, your data entry, your memory recall, your map recall. So that is all information that test will take into consideration. You have to be able to type at least 30 words per minute. So we will send you all that information. If you ever have any question about that, again, please feel free to reach out to me or any of the other field recruiters in my units. Again, it is a very, very large agency, 40 specialty units, so there is something for everyone, whether it's becoming a detective as part of our criminal investigation division, whether it's working within our HR. There are also different units that you can go into as a civilian. A lot of people start off as a records technician, later on move on to different positions throughout the agency, such as a crime analyst, different analysts for our different divisions, such as domestic violence, homicide, different different units of that sort. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask the questions at the bottom of the board. I'm going to introduce Deputy Leela Freeze. She is going to be asking the questions behind the scenes.
Hopefully you can see me. So this is just to make sure that you can recognize a face or put a face with the voice that you're going to hear behind. And like she said, just make sure that you drop those questions down there and we'll go ahead and answer those for you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so first question. Can you buy military time?
Yes, so we are part of the Florida retirement system. So under the Florida retirement system, you can buy up to 5 years of either prior military or prior law enforcement experience. It's all dependent on the Florida retirement system, how much it's going to be to buy back that time or buy into that time. I know different times of the year that price changes, so that's something that you have to get with the Florida retirement system with, but we'll be able to guide you through that. I know we have a lot of people that come from the military. We do have veteran preference, so we hire a lot of military personnel and a lot of their spouses and their family. So we do have that. We have a civilian recruiter who specializes specifically with our military personnel and their families. So just, if you have any questions, just let us know and I can either answer the questions myself or I can assist you with getting that information from our subject matter expert, which is recruiter Richard DeMarco.
The next question is, I work as a state police officer in Puerto Rico. How can I transfer?
So I know different states, different municipalities have different academies. You have to complete the equivalency of training program. Before that, we typically tell people, especially with like Puerto Rico and peace officers, that's another thing that we see, peace officers sometimes may not go through a full academy, so they may not have, they have a significant amount of experience, but they have not completed everything needed in order to be eligible for an equivalency of training program. So we provide that information. If you are eligible for that equivalency of training program, what we do, I will send you an email with a list of schools in the state of Florida. That information, you'll have the schools on there, how much the program costs, how long the program is, and the person of contact. You will directly contact that school and they will give you the information for you to be able to take that course. Typically, the course runs between 3 days to 2 weeks. Most academies, most schools, it's only a 5-day program, and the price ranges from $450 to $1,200. So you go ahead and you do the equivalency of training program. You do not have to be in the EOT physically to apply for a position with us, but you do have to be registered for the course. That way we can start the process. So as soon as you're registered, you can submit your application and send us a copy of the confirmation showing that you are already registered for the EOT.
This next question is a two-part question. After being hired, how often do you have a physical fitness test? And is the physical portion hard for the test?
So it depends on what you're looking for. So if you're looking to be sponsored, again, I spoke a little bit about our physical assessment test. So you have to, again, it's 1.5 miles in 15 minutes or less, 20 or more push-ups in a minute, and 30 or more sit-ups in a minute. So that is to get into the academy. Once in the academy, you'll do PT, physical training, and DT, defensive training, every day between 1 to 3 hours. So it just kind of depends. It is very, very physical. So you have to be in very good physical shape. It is a competition between your fellow classmates. So just make sure you do your best. Let's say it's someone that's coming in as a law enforcement officer that's already sworn in another state, or let's say from another agency in the state of Florida. They do not need to complete the PAT, the physical assessment test, but they do need to be physically able to pass the medical screening. So during the medical screening, which is towards the end of the process, you will be put on a stress test on a treadmill. You have to be able to pass that test in order for you to go into our agency. Typically, our agency physicals are once every 2 years, and they put you on that stress test every time you have your physical.
Next question. What's the most common reason someone isn't hired?
Most common reason we see a lot of, what I have seen personally, is a lot of work history problems, so disciplinary issues. Again, it's all on a case-by-case basis, but it just depends on the severity, how long ago the incident happened, what exactly happened. That's why I encourage people, if they have a question, if they know they have something in their background, in their work history that might affect them, contact me personally. That way I try and give you a straightforward answer, whether you will have a chance or whether you might have to find a smaller agency, but I try and give you a definitive answer. That way you know what you're getting. So work history is a big one. Arrests, we do see arrests. Again, we look into convictions. You can't have any felony convictions, any misdemeanor convictions such as domestic violence or false statements or anything dealing with integrity. So we do see arrests every once in a while, but no convictions. But again, that's a case-by-case basis. So I would say the biggest things are work history, any criminal history. Credit history is another one. We do not run your credit score, but during the background, we will do a credit history check. So we will just do a credit history check to ensure that there's no extreme outstanding debt that you owe. Things like a mortgage or a car that you're still paying on that has no impact on that whatsoever. It is things that have gone into collections that you have not paid off. So things such as student loans, car loans, foreclosures, anything like that. So I would say those are probably the 3 biggest ones that you see, and physical ability, how physically able you are. I would say those are probably the top 4.
Next question is, can we sign up for a ride-along?
So we are currently not allowing ride-alongs due to the Delta variant, the resurgence of the COVID-19 Delta variant. For a while there, we were allowing ride-alongs, but right now we are not, just because we're trying to keep ourselves safe, and we're also trying to keep you, the public, safe. So we hopefully within the near future, we'll be able to start ride-alongs again, because we absolutely enjoy them and we want people to understand what they're going into and get a feel as to what the area that they are working in is going to be like.
The next question is, does everyone get a take-home car?
Everyone except for court security deputies. So for our sworn positions, and I'm speaking for our sworn positions. So for our sworn positions, we have Deputy Sheriff Patrol, we have school resource officers, and we have court security deputies. So Patrol will receive a take-home car. School resource officers will also receive a take-home car. The only sworn that do not get a take-home car is the court security deputies. They're the ones that predominantly work at the courthouse, so they do not get a take-home vehicle. For our civilian positions, it depends. I know different positions throughout the agency require our civilians to be on call. I know for some of our criminal investigations division analysts, such as our domestic violence or our missing persons, they have to be on call based on the fact that they are needed if there's ever an emergency. So they can use that car for the week or 2 weeks or however long the period is where they are on call. But it's all just dependent on where they fall, the scope that they fall under within the sheriff's office.
Does someone with prior law enforcement experience or seeking sponsorship have to complete the swim test?
So we no longer have a swim test. I say that with a smile because I'm not a swimmer. When I came on 4.5 years ago, you had to do a swim test. I'm not the strongest swimmer, so when they told me that we were no longer doing the swim test, obviously I was a little happy about that. But yeah, we no longer do a swim test. Not that swimming is not necessary, but we realize that although Orange County does have water, we're not next to a major lake or any major beaches, so we kind of fell back and removed the swim test from our minimum requirements a few years ago.
Okay, the next question, so it's a little off from some of the norm. They ask, is your department staying safe?
Is our department staying safe? Yes. Yes. So if it's in reference to the COVID-19, so all of us are, right now I'm not wearing my mask, but the individuals inside of this room are all wearing their mask. If you are in an office where you are by yourself, you don't necessarily need to wear a mask. But if you are around other individuals inside or outside, we request that our staff wears a mask. We're not mandating the vaccine, but it is encouraged that people do get the vaccine. We are doing incentives for deputies and our civilians who are receiving the vaccine. So again, it is not mandated.
Someone asked, I just finished the EOT and took the test and passed it. What should be done next? I'm currently a law enforcement officer in Mississippi.
Okay, so my first thing is you have completed the OT, passed the state certification. The first step is applying. So the application itself is not very long. I remember 4.5 years ago when I was doing the application, it was like a 3-4 hour thing. Now it's a bit shorter. It asks you the minimum requirements and some additional questions just so that we can screen and see if you meet the minimum requirements. Later on, we'll transition into asking more in-depth questions and doing more of an in-depth background. So the first step would be to submit the application. Typically, I tell people to contact me once they have submitted the application. That way I can get with our staff and let them know, hey, keep an eye out for this gentleman or this lady's application. The entire process takes about 3 to 4 months for someone that's already certified in the state of Florida, so which would be.
The next question is, have you experienced budget cuts during COVID-19?
So we have not. Luckily, we've been very, very blessed that we have not experienced any budget cuts. We are in the second year of our 3-year contract with our union and between the union and the agency. That first year we got an 8% raise. This year we got a 5.5% raise, and then next year we're getting an additional 5% raise. So we've been blessed that despite the pandemic going on and all the changes going on within the law enforcement community and within the community as a whole, we have not experienced any budget cuts.
Is prior experience required for the IT specialist position?
So yes, prior experience is required for the IT positions. If you check our website, you go on OCSO.com, go under our careers portion, it'll take you to our governmentjobs.com area where it'll give you all the information on the current openings, whether civilian or sworn, including our IT. So with our IT, it just depends. There's different levels of our IT. There's constantly jobs popping in and out. The job position currently opening right now. It's IT Specialist 4, which is a systems administrator. That one requires at least a high school diploma with 4 years of IT experience. If you do have a bachelor's in a related field, whether it's computer science or anything, computer science or information technology, then you need 3 years. But you do need to have prior experience.
Next question is, my credit was greatly affected by losing my job due to COVID. Is there any advice that could be given so that that would not stop my application?
So it just depends. It depends on how much is owed. You have to show that you're making payments, that you're trying to get it down. But it honestly depends on how much is owed. If it's, I believe, there's not a specific number that we tell people, but obviously if it's something more than like $5,000, it's something that we're going to need you to reduce it significantly. But that's one of the main things that you're gonna have to do.
The next one is, does the Orange County Sheriff's Office give credit for LEO service time? If I have 5 years at a police department, will you start me off with a 5-year deputy salary since I have no experience?
So if you have prior experience as a law enforcement officer, whether in the state of Florida or in a different agency in another state, if you have 4 or more years, we start you off at a step 2. So step 2 is just under $51,000. I believe it's $50,980. So it starts off at a different step than it would for our deputies just coming in with less than 4 years experience or coming just out of the academy.
The next question is, I've been told that I have everything completed that is needed or required by the Sheriff's Office. I just need help physically to prepare for the academy. Any tips or tricks to get healthy again?
Yes. So again, we put a very large emphasis into physical fitness due to the fact that our job is very physically demanding. There's been times where we've had deputies that they were in the process and they're like, look, I need a little bit more help. Is there anything that you guys can do? There is a link that I can provide for a workout. Again, I spoke about the functional fitness test that we do that's similar to a workout done within the academy. So a lot of times we'll provide that workout so that people can gear their workouts at home to that specific kind of physical need. That running is a big one. Make sure you don't run on a treadmill. Running on a treadmill is very, very different from running outside. So we strive to push people to run outside. Running outside, cardio is a big thing. It's going to be a lot of cardio in the academy. So I tell people not to focus so much on lifting weights, but more so doing body weight movements and working on your cardio. And make sure you watch that video on our YouTube channel.
The next question is it possible to currently be in the reserves for the military and still be able to go through the academy?
Yes. So it's funny you say that. I was in the academy with a gentleman who I saw downstairs in our HR area today. He actually was in the reserves. He was hired by Orange County. He was a sponsored recruit with me. He was in for maybe about 2 weeks, a week and a half before he was deployed for a year. He was deployed for a year. He still had a job when he came back. He went through the academy, and after the academy, he went into our basic recruit training, or what other agencies call orientation phase, and then into FTO, and was a solo deputy. And he just got deployed again for another year and just came back. So yes, we definitely work with our military personnel. You are allowed an allotted time for you to go to your reserve duties per year. My partner right now is actually deployed. She's actually in El Paso training for the next month, but she's being deployed to Jordan. So there were 2 field recruiters. She still will have her job as a field recruiter when she comes back. But that just kind of goes to show how much we work with our military personnel.
The next one, if I was OC sprayed as a military police officer and I have an OC letter verifying that, would I need to be sprayed again in the academy?
You will have to be sprayed again in the academy. As unpleasant as it is, and I completely agree that it's very unpleasant, you will have to go through that training and go through that OC spray because it is mandated through the academy.
The next question, what are the incentives for getting the vaccine?
So for our incentives right now, we're doing depending. So for me, like if I got the vaccine, they do 3 days of administrative leave, so it's vacation time. So typically per year we get 2 what we call floating holidays. It's just 2 administrative leave days. So they're just adding on those 3 days. So that's what they're providing us right now, which is great.
The next question is, how long is the FTO training?
FTO is 14 weeks. There are 7 periods within that 14 weeks. Each one is 2 weeks. Depending on if you have prior experience and how you're doing during FTO, the training unit can choose to reduce your time so that it's not 14 weeks, but on average, typically it's 14 weeks, especially for people that don't have any experience.
Okay, we have a few more minutes for a few more questions. The first one is, you require a 15-minute mile-and-a-half run. Can we try your track field to time ourselves? I would like to be sure I'm ready before scheduling the PAT test.
So where we do the PAT test is actually at the Valencia Criminal Justice Institute, which is in the public safety building. The area in the back is graveled off. You pretty much know where you have to run. You can go and run back there. I know a lot of people will go on their off time because they want to get a feel as to what it's going to be like to run when they go to their PAT. It's hot in Florida. I think a lot of people underestimate how hot and how humid it can be. We do the PAT in the morning, so we try to avoid as much heat and humidity as possible, but still 8:30, 9:30 in the morning, it is still very hot. So it is encouraged, if you would like to do that, it is encouraged for you to run where you will end up doing the PAT. That way you get a better feel for it.
This next question is reference 911 position. Once you are hired, what is the expected course of training for the emergency 911 position, and how long does the training last before you are on your own?
So I don't want to give you the incorrect information. I believe it's 6 weeks of in-house training. You do not have to have any prior experience as a 911 operator or 911 emergency specialist. So they will put you through that. Again, it'll deal with things such as your memory recall, your typing skills. It's going to be greatly used, but they'll be able to provide you with more information. If you have if you need more information, please feel free to contact me, and I can get with a subject matter expert and provide you all the information you will need.
So we have time for about 2 more questions. The first one, are there employee support networks such as LGBTQ, race, religion, disability, etc.? So one of the biggest things for me, and one of the biggest reasons why I chose the Orange County Sheriff's Office over any other agency, is because of the diversity that we have and the support that we have within our agency. I'm part of the LGBT community. We have LGBT liaisons. We're part of GOAL, under different agencies within the Central Florida area. We have different support groups throughout the agency, so we strive for diversity. So yes, it is the main reason why I chose the Orange County Sheriff's Office, and it is one of the reasons why I highly tell people that it is a very, very good agency to be a part of, because you want to be a part of an agency that represents who you are as a person and who the community is. So. And the last question that we're going to take for now is, what is the best thing about being a deputy?
The best thing about being a deputy, John's over there, and I'm going to say the same thing I said to him 2 years ago when I was a detective. It's making my mom proud. I think helping people is amazing, and knowing that you made a difference there's nothing like it. And then you add on top of the fact that I make my mom proud every day. So that's the best thing for me. Thank you everyone for joining us. We're trying to keep this on maybe every other month. So I hope to see you guys again. And if you have any other questions, please shoot me an email, call me, text me. I always have my phone on me, so please reach out, whether it's to me or any of my fellow recruiters on my unit. You can also go on OCSO.com and go on our careers portion. It'll give you a lot of information about the career and current openings that we have right now. Thank you.